So have you ever been to a client meeting that you thought went really well? In fact, the client at the end of the meeting said, hey, this was fantastic. Thank you. We'll follow with you next week. Only to find out that the client, as soon as you left the meeting, won't return your phone calls, won't return your emails, and doesn't do the deal. Well, in today's video, I want to share with you what are the things that you do in a moment like that, because it's not the things that are said during the meeting, but it's all the things that are unsaid in the meeting. So there's a couple things you need to pay attention to, and you may know this, is that in a meeting, there are three things that you need to pay attention to. It's all the visual cues, the auditory cues, and the kinesthetic cues. So you're probably familiar with these terms. The visual is what we do with our eyeballs. Auditory is all the things that we hear, and kinesthetic is the feeling that we get when we're inside that meeting. You ever walked into a room before and it just felt cold, or I don't mean temperature-wise, I mean like the people in the room just felt cold or felt uncomfortable or there was some tension. Those are the kinesthetic cues you pick up on in a room. And what is important to know for a meeting is that most people think that auditory is the most important part. The words that we say is the most important. But in fact, only about 10%, and some experts would argue it's even lower than this, is about 10% of what we pick up on in a meeting is auditory. 30% is what we pick up on visually, and then kinesthetic is the remaining 60%. So if you're not paying attention to these extra cues of what you're seeing, right? Is their body language? Are they crossing their arms? Are they sitting back in their chair? Do they have scrunches on their face when they hear you say certain words like the price of what it's going to cost, right? But then also, what are the kinesthetic cues that you pick up on in a meeting? So here's two things you can do to make sure that you get the most out of paying attention to visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, is that if you sense that something's going the wrong direction, what I advise you to do is what we call it. Meaning just say something. Say, hey, I don't know if we're on the same page here. Or, you know what, I noticed that you're not quite with me. Is there anything else I can do? Or are you thinking about something else? And you ask the question. One of my favorite questions you ask is just literally ask the question, hey, what was that thought right there? Yeah, that one. Because what will happen is when you're talking to somebody, and they have that face that, right, they make that scrunchy face, or they're not quite with you, what usually happens is they're back thinking about something from before. It's called their little voice. Their little voice is distracted in that meeting by something else that you said. So maybe you said a term they didn't understand, or maybe they're still stuck on the price point that you just mentioned and you just kept going past it. Well, the good news is there's no harm in asking, hey, what was that thought you had right there? And if they go, oh, nothing, no thought, then perfect, keep moving forward. But if you say, hey, what was that thought right there? Immediately you've called it out. And what ends up happening is they usually don't have time to make up something. So they'll just tell you what exactly is on their mind, and it'll get you back on track to make sure you have a fantastic proposal meeting or a client meeting and make sure that you move the whole deal forward. So that's it for me, Jason Everett, this week. In the comment section below, I would love it if you tell me some of the tips that you use inside a meeting that help you make sure that you see the unseen inside a meeting or help you read a client's mind. What is it that you use? Write some comments below because I know you've got excellent suggestions also. And if you like videos and videos like this, subscribe on our YouTube channel, or you can find us online at facebook.com/businessrefuel. Until then, have a fantastic week.